All right, let's talk about guys that are Giants because the juice is back. And no, not OJ Simpson, obviously. Juice Wells back again with the Giants officially. Also, linebacker Jonas Griffith as well. Now, both were added to the practice squad because with Hewitt, the linebacker, being elevated again last week, he's out of times to elevate him overall at the practice squad, so he's officially out of the roster. Jude Mekatomi, also the kicker, also added to the active roster. We talked about that are happening last week. So we had 2 empty spots to fill. So that's who fills it. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Juice Wells because obviously we know he's got rapport with Jaxson Dart from playing with him at Ole Miss. We talked about that during the training camp and he was there with us. Didn't look great, I thought, in training camp, but he did some things. I mean, didn't get a lot of shots, I feel like, either necessarily to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So
I mean, practice squad's right around where you need to be with him, but it's at the same time.
Yeah. I'll tell you this.
At the same time.
He looks better than Bo Collins already.
Yes. He does. And you know what? No, it's also better not having a 53-man roster.
Yeah. But I think Juice Wells is the guy I'd actually am kind of curious if they do end up calling him up. Because if he's in good shape and he kept himself in good shape while he was out of the league there for a few weeks, which I got to imagine he did, the Giants wouldn't have re-signed him. They would have said, hey, get back in shape. We'll look at this again in a couple of weeks. But, they bring him on. He goes in. He knows the playbook. He has rapport with Jaxson Dart. He's the perfect guy to sign off the streets and go ahead and, bring back to this roster. And let's be honest, we could use another receiver, guys. We could use another receiver. And like I said, I would take him over Bo Collins right now in a heartbeat. So I'm all for that. Linebacker Jonas Griffith, the other guy we signed there. Now, he's an interesting story. I'm going to say this. I don't have a foil hat to put on here, but we just signed a Broncos ex-linebacker as we're about to face the Broncos. Think about that for a moment.
Insider traded?
Yeah, exactly where I'm getting at. You don't think he knows a little bit of something about the Broncos defense? The verbiage, the packages, the personnel. Like, I don't know. I find that a little interesting. Now, I look though at what I see there at what he's done in his career though, and it's actually kind of an interesting pickup. I got to be honest. I didn't know much about this kid going into this when I first heard we signed him. But he was a backup linebacker for a couple of years for the Broncos. So he was UDFA from Indiana State. Went to high school actually in Tenafly, New Jersey. There's actually, I think, 2 high schools he went to because one of them, Pro Football Reference, has him at Tenafly. Wikipedia has him at a different high school. So I think he probably split time because one of them was an academy, which is where you send kids that are really, really good at sports and you want to get them into the NFL, basically. So obviously that worked.
Typically, yeah.
But you got first couple of years in the NFL, didn't do anything at all in 20, but bounced around practice squads and all. Finally lands on the Broncos 21-22. He played in 22 career games, 12 tackles, had 12 starts, 92 tackles, a pass deflected, interception, 4 tackles for loss, and 5 QB hits. So he was on like about 50% of the defensive plays, another 50% of the special team plays. He was, I don't want to say a star, but he was a decent part of their offense. I'm sorry, the defense. Kind of like the role we expected Darius Muasau to play for the Giants this year before the McFadden injury. That's probably the best way to give you guys an idea of the kind of role he played. Now 23 rolls around and he tears his ACL in 2023 in August during training camp. So the whole season gone. August 2024 rolls around and they were going to cut him. Rumor was, when I saw that they were planning on putting him on the practice squad, giving him more time to kind of get back from the injury and everything, they still liked him a lot. So they go to cut him. He clears waivers. There's for those kind of behind the scenes, there's a like cutting physical, so to speak, that they do in that scenario where you got to verify everything's good to go and there's no injury settlements or anything like that, kind of make sure it's a clean break. Well, they found more issues with his ACL again. So when that happened, he now is on the IR, out for the year again with the ACL injury. But it's kind of related to that first one. It's not a tear. It's, hey, we found more damage. They didn't quite get fixed that first surgery. If that makes sense. So
yeah,
not a normal scenario. And Sean Payton was pretty upset about the time. He said, "This is tough. It's tough on him and tough on everyone. We went through the process. He went through the process of being released, and then that's what's a little bit unusual in his post exam. They discover more of an issue with his ACL. It wasn't one event specific. In the end, there'll be an injury settlement, which is pretty common. What isn't common is finishing the preseason playing like he did, and then discovering this is a little bit more significant than we thought. We're going to certainly do right by the player and take care of him. He's someone that's busted his tail here for the better part of 2 years trying to stay healthy." So, I mean, Sean Payton definitely spoke highly of him, and he's been out of the league now for a few years, healing up from this ACL. So, if he is healthy per se, and I don't know, I wasn't there for the medical, but I got to imagine Giants brought him in, Giants signed him. He's got to be healthy. You'd hope so, at least.
You would hope so.
You don't usually sign injured players.
And I mean, I wouldn't put it past Giants.
We just wanted the Broncos inside information.
Yeah,
it's like
inside of trading here.
You sign a player who showed to be I don't want to say he's a great player, a star, but he showed to be a legitimate NFL talent for the Broncos a couple of years ago, and he's still 28 years old. So you get him when he's still in the prime of his career, so to speak, and maybe he does provide a little bit of something for us in the defense. Can't hurt, that's for sure. We are desperate for linebackers, guys. And one thing I loved, and I saw this on TikTok of all places. When he got signed, he came home and his family put like Giants balloons all over his house and everything to celebrate the fact that he's back in the NFL. He gets me right here. Like it was a nice thing.
Right in the cackles.
You could tell how excited he was, guys. And I just love that when you see like true emotion out of a player like that. And it reminds you, like, hey, like, because we do this all the time ourselves. Obviously, we talk, oh, Hyatt's trash. This person's trash. Whatever. These are real people. And to see a guy bust his chops for years to get back into the NFL, and now he's got a chance to do that. That's awesome. So I know we'll be definitely rooting for this kid because I just love that kind of story of like, because I think a lot of people would have given up point blank. Like, think about it. He hasn't played in an NFL game since 2022. He's 25. 3 years later. Yeah. Most people would have given up. That shows a lot personality-wise. So, and like I said, we'll see what happens though, because he's on the practice squad. We don't have any knowledge of him coming up or anything like that. But considering all the injuries we've had to linebacker this year, you never know. You never do.
Never know.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the Goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
If you like that clip,
then you will love the full episodes too.
Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please.